Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Wedding Season, Season 1, Episode 6. A great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So at first, when we got that opening at first and was like, oh, this is Katie, I was like, wait, is this the real Katie? Did Kira, whatever her real name is, did she take Katie's thing? It's like, oh, did she take Katie's name? But then I was like, oh no, stupid. This is the real Katie, which is interesting because that means Katie is her real name. So I was like, okay. So I wonder, is Kira the only time she used to she changed her last name, but I'm curious, the fact that she even used her real first name, but that might have been done on purpose. Because the moment we find out about her dad, I was like, that's what this has all been about. Like, it did seem like you were specifically going after the Delaney's. I thought Conrad was like, at first I was like, oh, you're just a con artist. It's like, no, this whole thing has been a revenge plot. Your dad was murdered. And when that guy poked his head out, I was like, isn't that Conrad, your husband? It's like, oh, so everything she's done, because we don't know if she doesn't. So it seems like Conrad, from what we know, was like the beginning of our like con artist stuff. But it's like, oh, it's all been a long laid plan to get revenge on the people responsible for killing her dad. He got mixed up with some people. It turns out they wanted his pub. I guess like they're trying to, well, he'd actually talked about he was telling Katie like, oh yeah, I wish you could see this place back when it wasn't what it was now. Like there's so many buildings around and stuff like that. So I guess the Delaney's, or maybe specifically the block, it could have just been the Delaney's in general, and maybe the block just supported it, them buying up this land and kind of like getting their name and owning so many of their properties there. Maybe that's what that was, but that's what this whole thing has been about, a long laid revenge plot. And even later on, Katie kind of breaks everything down. I mean, obviously her marriage to Conrad, it was to draw him in, to find the ins and outs of everything. Cause she thought it stopped with Conrad. She's like, right, the guy that killed my dad, they worked for you. But then he was like, no. I'm just a small fry on this larger totem pole. The Delaney's are the ones who kind of sent those lads after your dad. I was just kind of middle management guy. So, cause it's been a while since I've seen the episode, but episode 4 made it sound like maybe they were doing a job together, and then Katie, because he made sure he didn't drop the information about why she did what she did, because all that matters is he's like, I knew you were using me and you betrayed me, and it's basically getting locked up. Well, because he made it sound like Katie screwed him over in a job or something, and that's the reason why the rest of the underground world won't mess with him. It's like, no, because of his because he did say like his connection to Katie is why, but he didn't, Kira, but he left out a lot of important details, like, right, what this was all about, because I guess he didn't want to paint her in a good light, because regardless of her reasoning, he even calls her like, oh, you're worse than me. Like, you could tell yourself whatever you want, Kira, but you're worse than me. I'm like, yeah, worse than the guy that's you're partially responsible for killing her dad. But in his mind, it's like, no, you're worse because you went through all this. You got in a relationship with me. You married me all for the purposes of you were going to kill me. Kill me on my wedding day, just like your dad died on his wedding day, which is god awful. Which is like, man, I mean, it fits with the flow and aspect of the show. It's all about weddings and stuff. And where did this all start? It started with Katie's wedding, and it wasn't really the beginning. I mean, they met at another wedding as well, but more so that this all the story itself, with the show itself starting with Katie's wedding and the Delaney family getting killed. So that's what snowballed everything. But obviously it's been a long laid plan well in advance. But once again, it's just like the fact that Stefan and her met at a wedding. And because she's ended up talking to Vince, because Vince calling her like oh, you're just some poor little rich girl. She's like, poor little rich girl. She's like, oh, you just think because I've been hanging around the Delaney's, you think you know me. You actually know nothing about me, and explained her circumstances. Because Vince knows about the block, which I kept being like, why does that actor look so familiar? I have to rewatch his Dark Materials, especially with the final season. Like, I think it's next month, or maybe it's even December. I don't remember. I've avoided watching the trailer because I kind of don't want to know what's going to happen in the final season. Regardless, it's been so long in between the seasons and stuff, I forgot his character's name, but like, yeah, he's in his Dark Materials. So I was like, because I heard the voice and looking at him, I was like, oh, his hair's a little different, but I was like, yeah, that's got to be the guy from his Dark Materials, because I recognized his voice. But either way, she kind of opens up to Vince, but Vince is like, yeah, you're pretty much going to have to run from your rest of your life, because essentially the Block are venture capitalists for the criminal world. Like, I guess they kind of, they connect people. They probably like supply a lot of, like probably like money, and so they probably invest in criminal enterprises and stuff like that. So they've probably gotten their hands in a lot of criminal pockets. The Delaney's just have to be the main focus of this. So, but then it's like, right, was the Block the ones who killed the Delaney's? But why? It's like, maybe they had bad, like maybe there was some bad blood there. Because even that's the big question of, but why kill the Delaney's? Like, and why are they still trying to kill Katie? It has to be that they think she knows something that maybe she doesn't realize she knows. Because when she breaks down her explanation, she did say that she stole, like, you know, the evidence to prove that, all right, she set everything up so that her and Hugo would get together. Then they got engaged. The cybersecurity dude whose phone she borrowed when her and Stefan first met. Then the Delaney lawyer, I figured she was changing the prenup. I just didn't know for what purpose. Now it's like, right, when it was all said and done, when the divorce happened, if by divorce of infidelity was the reason for the divorce, she'd be able to use that opportunity to get some of the stuff in the in the prenup, and so she could get her dad's building back because it's still owned by the Delaneys. So, and then we find out, because a big question I was asking the entire episode was like, what about her stepmom Claire? Like, where is she in all this? The blonde woman she was meeting that they were asking about last episode was in fact her stepmom Claire. I was like, oh, so that's interesting, because it was like, it's nice to know that her stepmom is still in her life though, but she's probably been completely unaware, because it seems like that's when Katie told her everything she was up to. So her stepmom was kind of in the dark about everything that she was doing. So, but yeah, because she knew, the fact that she already knew it was locked and loaded, she knew that Hugo had an affair. Like, I don't know whether she just knew because Hugo's Hugo, so she knew he would cheat, or did she put him in a situation where she knew he would cheat? Like, did she, well, because it was supposed to be their bachelor parties and the bachelorette's party, like, but that was her main reason why for going to Las Vegas with Stefan, was to get that tape. It's like, how did she know she would find it? So she might have put him in, like, she might have literally paid off people to sleep with him just to solidify the infidelity, or she automatically knew, like, I knew he'd do it, and he's brazen enough to do it at a hotel that you own, simply because it makes it easier and know what, like, right, why not go to the place where you have keys to the castle to do the debaucherous things that you're going to do, right? So it worked out for Katie in the end, but everything blew up the moment the Delaneys died. Like, she wanted them to hurt, she wanted them to suffer, but she didn't want them to die. At least that's what she's saying at first. She claims to later on tell Stefan everything, but she hasn't. Which, let's shift gears a little bit and circle over to everything with Stefan. Picking up where we left off, I was like, oh man, he's passed out. I was like, they're like, okay, like, how is he going to get out of this? It's like, luckily for him, it's like, right, the grate that they're using to hang him, I mean, that probably would have made things worse. I was about to say, not unless he kept, like, easing himself off and then trying to drop and put all his weight into making the grate fall. But I'm like, no, doing that most likely would have probably broken his neck. Because if he probably went down with enough force and the grate stayed up, like, yeah, there's a chance it would have fallen, like, if he kept, like, pulling down, but he probably would have just tightened the noose or just broken his neck in the process. So it would have been death either way. So, but, luckily, Donahue went to go check on, Stefan. Also shows you kind of how psychopathic Metz is. The fact is, she walked back in like, hey, this whole block stuff, it's a rabbit hole. We could always look into it tomorrow. It's going to be here. Let's go get drinks. I'm like, I get it. You want to get him out of the building, because I think legitimately she does really care for him. But the problem is, it comes in conflict for whatever she's in the middle of with the block. It could just be a thing of she's entangled in this so deep because, like, right, she owes them a favor. They cut her some slack. They helped her out with something, or maybe it's a debt she's paying off, whether it's her own debt, family debt, who knows. But Metz has a reasons for being connected to the block. Luckily, Donahue found Stefan in time. I was like, oh, good. And it's like, yeah, it's Metz that did this. He's like, what? Which just sucks because they were just about to go out for drinks. I knew this betrayal was going to cut so deep with my boy. He was smitten, man. This whole thing between them. And he's like, yeah. Stefan was just found dead. It's like, oh, what happened to him? Yeah, he was stabbed in his cell. And then, like, he was waiting for Metz's reaction. The fact that she didn't say anything, because she was like, wait, that doesn't make any, because, like, it's like, oh, so you know I'm lying. All right, put your hands above your head. But she's like, you're not going to shoot me. Took the gun and had him handcuff himself to the chair. She could have killed him because he knows too much now, just like Stefan knows too much now. But she left him alive because she does care about him. That's probably going to blow up in her face later on, but she'll probably pretend like Donahue didn't know as much as like Stefan did. Either way, she's like, my cover was blown, I had to bounce. So now it is a situation of Internal Affairs wants to handle everything, but Donahue is like, yeah, they're just going to sweep it under the rug because this is like going to be the biggest case of our career, my career, but also with everything that Metz is involved in. I mean, they're able to get to a cop, so it shouldn't be too surprising if a large-scale organization like the Block would be able to reach out to a large enough, like, entity, like in the police or something, to, like, take advantage of that. But it could just be like, the police are just doing what they're doing to save face, because this will have, like, such massive repercussions, and it would be such a massive blemish on the police's reputation. So it's like, yeah, let's not look any deeper. We'll cover our own asses in this. So Donahue is going to drag Stefan along because he needs Katie because she's the piece to this puzzle. And it's like, right, for whatever reason, she cares about you and you're going to be my means to drag her in. But it is the thing of that whole conversation of, oh, did you not know your partner was a murderer? Did you know your girlfriend was a murderer? He's like, fair point, but I don't think she did. And he's like, even Donahue's like, yeah, I don't think she did either. But he still needs her to come in because she is still the focal point of all of this. And the sad thing is, because we now know the truth about Katie, it's like, it makes the whole thing with Stefan that make much more sense. Why there was that tug and pull. Because for her need for revenge was like her motivation. Like, it's something she's been going after for so long. I mean, like, she's been, at the very least, like, she's probably set her mind on revenge ever since, because she was 15 when her dad died. So we know, like, she eventually met Conrad and played that whole thing out. And then 5 years later was all of this, like, Hugo stuff, the Delaney stuff. It took her that long to finally track them down and be able to put herself in a position to really take advantage of all of this. And that's, like I said, she went by the name Katie. That might have been more so a middle finger to, like, holding on a little bit to herself, while also going after the Delaney's. But I think that's why she could never let Stefan go, because she had to, like, first she had to be Kira with Conrad. Now she had to be a different version of Katie with the Delaney's. And so she never really got an opportunity to fully be herself, except with Stefan. So that's why she was always so hot and cold with him. It's like, I want to be with you because I do legitimately love you. I get to have so much fun. I get to be myself around you. I don't have to just pretend to be someone else like I've had to do for so many years now. And, you know, and now it is a situation of, now that's all going complete. Now it's like, right, I kind of ruined your life. I dragged you into all of this. Like, it's my fault that this all happened. You know, and she wants to go back to him, but Vince is like, no, if you really care about the boy, the best thing you can do is stay as far away from him. And it's like, and you could tell how much that does hurt her. So when they do meet in a restaurant, she's drunk as hell. It was actually really heartbreaking. It's funny, but also like a little heartbreaking. And he was like, she was kissing all of him. And she was like, no, or something. What was it? She was saying to him that, you can't be around me. I'm very dangerous. So she was like, but I love you, babe. And it's like, like the back and forth. I've never seen someone that emotionally conflicted since Rapunzel in the movie Tangled. I only say that because I've been playing through the Kingdom Hearts games recently, and it's super fresh in my mind because I'm currently replaying Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm like near the end, but like I haven't seen Tangled in so long, but I forget about that whole conflicted scene. She's like, I'm having so much fun, I'm never going back. I'm the worst daughter ever, and like that whole conflicted scene, right? So it just kind of reminded me of that. And she spilled her guts to Stefan, and now he understands, like, right, what this was all about. And so, but her breaking down like that was so heartbreaking. It even affected Donahue on the outside, because he's calling up Metz. He's like, I don't know what you're in, but let me in, like I can help you. So it's like he's like, right, everything with Katie like made him go like, let me try and reach out to the Mets. I do love her, I do care about her, so maybe I can help her out of this situation. Both you and Stefan are suckers. Not and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just like, no, you're like true romantics, that it's like, right, you're head over heels in love with somebody and you can't quite break yourself of that. It's like, right, these are some dangerous women in your life, but you still find yourself still trying to help them out in whatever way you can. And I love that whole situation of like, right, there's two options. What do you want to do? And she's like, the front door. And Stefan's like, okay. I was like, she didn't actually mean that. She's so drunk she doesn't know, right? And then she said, wait, which one had the no cops? And he's like, the back door. And she's like, oh, I want that option. It's like, okay. But didn't even have to, before, it's like, oh, smile to the cop, Donahue, and back up slowly. But before they could even like worry about that, gunfire comes. Luckily they get away. So I guess they were tracking Katie's like cards just like Donahue was. So I guess, luckily they, maybe like Mets hadn't been locked out of the system yet. So maybe she was able to take advantage of that, or I don't know. Maybe they just have high enough connections to know exactly where Katie was. But yeah, I love that line from when they were talking everything out. It's like, right, you know everything now, and she's like, but this is a very dangerous situation. You don't have to get involved. But he's like, yeah, but what was it? He said, you're very You're very, very dangerous. And she's like, thank you, because she didn't know how to take that. He's like, yeah, but you are. But the fact is, you're very steadfast in what you sacrificed too much. You've done too much to get to where you are. We have to see this through. We have to clear your name. Because it turns out there's a picture of Mets, and Katie felt like she recognized her. Because it's like, right, because Katie never actually seen, like, I think she saw Mets and Donahue when she broke Stefan out of prison, but she never actually met them face to face. So I was like, right, that's why she wouldn't know Donahue and Mets by name. But she recognized Mets from a photo. It's like, oh, I thought she looked familiar. She's going to the wedding that Vince is making a suit for. It's basically two crime families coming together. Well, the daughter of the head of the block is marrying the son of this Texas mob. So it's I guess going to be like a sort of criminals who's who. So we know Metz is going to be there. So they're taking advantage of this situation. Hey, let's go there, find her, try to get any information about all of this. But we did get a surprise at the end where he's like, yeah, I'm glad you told me everything. She's like, yeah, me too. And we get our stinger, which implies Katie didn't kill, well, she might have killed one of the Donahues, but, the Delaney's, but not all of them. It seems like that necklace she had was for the purpose of poisoning them. She wanted to kill very much what she was going to do it with Conrad, so now she just ended up doing it with the Delaney's. The question is, who did she poison? Most likely the dad, just for that purpose of like, right, another child having to watch their parent be dead. So I think she did actually poison at least Papa Delaney, but I don't think she poisoned the rest of the family. Like, it's the thing of, like, someone already got to it before you did, but that was her plan. So now it's like, oh, she was an attempted murderer, so that does change things to some extent, because she's afraid if she tells Stefan that, he'll never look at her the same way. Because it's like, right, he's looking at you as innocent, like, yes, you have every right to go after these people, but you didn't try to murder them. You wanted to crush them and get back your dad's building, but you didn't actually kill them. Knowing that she attempted to, at the very least, attempted to kill, like I said, I'm putting that as Papa Delaney, but yeah, knowing that might be that's her big secret currently, she hasn't told him everything. That's definitely going to be interesting to see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.